Hello, everyone, and welcome to Magic and Media, the podcast focused on blending magic with the current pop culture news and moments to show you that magic is all around us every day. We just have to look around and find it. So, in this podcast, we find the metaphysical and magic in the world around us, and we share it with you. So, welcome to Magic and Media. We have a packed I don't even know, itinerary roster list for today of a lot of really interesting topics, things that are obviously relevant to what is happening now, what we're feeling now, and of course, the Christmas and holiday season. So, we are going to start this episode talking about tomorrow, which is actually 12/12. So, we're recording this on December 11th. So, tomorrow, 12/12 is our 12/12 portal. So, what does that mean? You may often hear people describing portal days like 3/3, March 3rd, 4/4, April 4th. And basically, in numerology, it's the idea that the energy of these numbers is heightened during this time. And usually, there's a meaning connected to this portal. Lots of people will use portal energy to do ritual work, to manifest, to do spell work, candle work. If any of that resonates with you or is part of your practice, then you're probably familiar with the portals. But we are going to talk about the portal tomorrow, which is our last portal day of the year, being 12/12. So the dual of that number, coming together is really a lot of finality with 12/12. But we're going to bring it all the way back to when this cycle really started and why there's a connection to 2017. So, 2017 was our last universal 1 year. So if you talk to me at all, really, or follow this podcast, you know that this year, 2025, is a 9 year, which we've talked a lot on this podcast about it being releasing, shedding, transformation in 2025, and lots of letting things go. And going back to 2017 was the beginning of this 9 year cycle. So it was our last 1 year. So, really, with this 12/12 portal, we have the 9 year cycle wrapping up as well as the whole year. So, it is this culmination of not only the year of 2025, but really this 9 year cycle that we've been in since 2017. Tomorrow, I encourage you to do a little reflecting on where you have seen differences, growth, and what your path has really been the last 9 years since 2017. Did something culminate to what it is now? What has happened? What was the big emphasis or big change in 2017? What was starting then? And what are we seeing come to fruition or come to a culmination now in 2025? So, really take some time to go back, look at maybe your pictures, or if you have notes in your phone or a journal from 2017, go back and see what did you want to start? What goals did you have in mind? And what did you accomplish in this 9 year cycle? And now getting to 2025. A way you can look at this is kind of like a moon cycle, right? We always talk about how new moons are fresh energy, good for manifestation and fresh starts. And full moons are really like when everything is illuminated and is at its like highest energy. So this cycle from 2017 to 2025 is similar to the energy of that moon cycle of in 2017 was that new moon energy. It was a fresh start. We were beginning something. We were starting something. And now in 2025, we are seeing where it has built up. Where has that path led us? And what have we really built in the last 9 years? I think there's always room and reflection to, one, pat ourselves on the back. What have you accomplished? What have you gotten done that you want to? Where have you made progress? But on the same coin of that reflection, what did we not finish? What did we not accomplish? Or I would even say, what did we not even really know about or know that we would be working on or what would be existing at this point? It really does kind of make you look at it from both sides. So tomorrow on 12/12, I do encourage you to meditate, send some of your wishes, manifestations, and things that you want to continue to build and manifest into your life. Send that out tomorrow, right? Like write them down, use that portal energy as a thank you, reflection, what did I do in the last 9 years? What do I want to start in next year when we have that fresh number one in 2026? I think really going back and looking at where we were in 2017 can help us prepare for this next 9 year cycle. So tomorrow, don't just think of it as 12/12, like end of December. We also do need to think of it as the end of this whole 9 year cycle. And we're going back to that fresh start in one in 2026. So spend some time with your 2017 self today and tomorrow and reflect on where you have been and where we are going. So that is tomorrow, December 12th, 12/12. And like we were saying, ultimately, why it is a portal where we would use to reflect or ultimately shed that, like if there's still things we're shedding in this 9 year or still things we want to let go of, it's a really good day for release as well. Because like I said, it's very like ending, closing of chapters and getting ready for a fresh start. That's the energy we've kind of been in all year. And tomorrow, 12/12, is a time to really sit in it. That's why I can't stress enough like the power of reflection. And when we really sit in that energy, seeing what we want to do next, right? And of course, a great way to reflect is to get a tarot reading. Tarot is one of my favorite forms of self-reflection. So book a reading with someone at the Vibe Collective and see kind of where you're at the end of this year before we take on that new 1 year energy in 2026. And I like to get a tarot reading from someone else, even myself as a tarot reader, because they won't hold back. They'll really show you what they see as far as from our spirit guides, our ancestors, of what we need to focus on going in to this new 1 year in 2026. That is a huge thing I notice as a tarot reader. I always say that it kind of brings what's in the back of our mind or what we're not paying attention to the front. And I think that that's how tarot really helps us, is that our spirit guides, our ancestors who are rooting for us and want us to have the best possible life, kind of put little messages, little signs into the readings so we can see where to place our energy, right? So I think it is really powerful to use tarot as a divination tool for that reason in itself. Of it will bring to light or show you things that you're not even fully thinking of. It's just like having a conversation with someone else, but with tarot cards. So book a reading if you want to do a deeper self-reflection. Now, our next topic is aligned with the Christmas energy that we're going to be in for all of this month. And we talked a little bit last week about winter solstice and kind of like a mini lesson of what winter solstice means and how we can prepare for it. And the winter solstice is still next week, so we have time. It's not until the 20th. So you still have next week to go back and listen to last week's episode about the winter solstice and what traditions it came from, what it means, and how you can incorporate it into your own spiritual practice. But this week, we are going to talk about the tradition of the Christmas tree and its magic. So how basically we can use our Christmas tree to bring more magic into our life this season. And if anything, I think these traditions are great things to share with other people this time of year. So if you're going to a Christmas party for work or with your friends or your family, knowing about these little traditions or kind of just the way that we came to have these practices are like fun little like facts and, you know, what fun facts. Yeah. Fun facts about Christmas that you can share with those around you. So the Christmas tree tradition. Long before Christmas ever was a holiday, ancient people viewed evergreens or pine trees as a magical plant that defied the winter. So while we see most plants die, going into fall and winter and be frozen over, evergreens and pine trees defied winter. They stay there. They keep going. They're very resilient, even in these cold winter months. If you are somewhere where it snows and you have cold, not really helping plants in any way. So already ancient people viewed those trees as magic because they were defying the winter. They weren't dying in the cold like all the other plants. So in lots of Norse and Germanic cultures, evergreens symbolize life. So they endure the death of winter and they keep living. So bringing evergreen into the home was believed to protect against evil spirits, disease, and misfortune. So even bringing your Christmas tree into your house really does stem from this tradition of protecting against evil spirits, disease, and misfortune. Because again, these plants were defying death, defying winter. So we would use it as a way to keep those away from us, right? The disease and misfortune, and really as a form of protection. You'll notice a lot of traditions that we still use stem from this place of protection because even more back then, there were factors that were beyond our control, right? Especially with health and medicine way, way back in the day, right? So we would use this energy of spirituality to bring protection around us. So there's a lot of that energy in these ancient traditions. And I think that we can tap into that same energy now of protection, looking out for ourselves and leaning into that divine protection. Now, another cool thing that we can think about as we are adorning our Christmas trees is that our ornaments are charms and they carry magic. They hold that energy. So early ornaments weren't decorative. They were actually seen as like enchanted symbols. Like now we've taken ornaments way more onto this form of like decoration, themes, getting the same kind of ornaments. Again, this is a form of tradition and a way that you can honor the holiday. But going back to earlier times, our ancestors' times, they weren't buying, Hallmark ornaments to adorn their trees. They were using nature and the things around them that already held symbolism to bring that stuff into their life. Not everything, but lots of things back, in ancient times or our ancestors' times had meaning, right? Everything that you did had meaning. It had intention behind it. And so much of what I want to do with this podcast and to share with all of you is that we need to bring that back, right? We need to bring intention back into every kind of little thing we're doing to connect with spirituality, to connect better with ourselves. And I think that just going back to the idea that so many of these traditions, Christmas stemmed from having intention and having meaning behind them, not just to decorate things and make them look nice. So bring that energy into your Christmas time and spirit as well. What intention, what spirit, what energy are you putting behind these things? Not just decorating your house to look cute or making a bunch of cookies to pass them out to people because they look cute. Like make sure you're putting intention behind the things you're doing. So these are the ways that they used certain enchanted symbols or ornaments on their trees to bring in certain energies. So we could even still, one, we still use a lot of these today. And two, if any of these speak to you, definitely add them to your tree, or maybe that is an ornament that you pick up this year. So enchanted symbols. First, we have apples. So of course, back in the day, again, we used the nature, the things around us. That's why you see lots of like oranges used like in the past for Christmas and things like apples. So apples represent fertility, health, and abundance. So you could always put some extra apples or an apple ornament on your tree if you are wanting to bring in any of those three things: fertility, health, and abundance. Another one we have on here is nuts, prosperity and luck. So chestnuts roasting by the open fire, kind of, again, something that is very connected to the holidays. And nuts are prosperity and luck. Now, another one that we're all very familiar with when it comes to Christmas tree decorations, and that is stars. So think the star at the top of your tree even, and that represents divine protection. Our next one is bells. So again, I think this will make a lot of sense to people. Think back to It's a Wonderful Life, with, the bell being how an angel got its wings, but it was also used to chase away evil spirits, or the sound of the bell would chase away evil spirits. And we still use sound bells, sound bowls to cleanse and change energy around us. So the bells, again, something we often use and we see a lot during the holiday season. But if you are hearing bells, even think of that as chasing away the evil energy or evil spirits around you. We also have angels on here. So, having angels on your tree is guardianship and blessings. So, this is something that can mean a lot of different things to lots of people. But I would say that if you yourself gained an angel this year in some way, it may be a good thing to put another angel ornament on your tree, something to commemorate that, to connect to that person if you're missing them this holiday season, and know that they are still blessing you and guarding you from the other side. So I really loved this idea of using different symbols or enchanted charms to bring and manifest certain things into your life. So maybe you can use some of those to call in some more holiday energy. But think of your tree itself as being a sort of spell for the household and the well being of the household. So maybe sit down with your family and ask everyone, what is something that you want to bring into this year, or what is something that we're wishing for this holiday season. And maybe you can find ornaments or even things around your house that represent that, and you can put that on the tree. So it's more than just decorating a tree, we're putting some meaning behind it. And that brings us to our next Christmas tree tradition, which is using your Christmas tree as a wish tree. So some traditions would treat the Christmas tree or a Yule log like a version of a wishing tree. So people would whisper their wishes into the branches, or others would tie small ribbons or paper to the different branches, a custom that is still found in parts of Eastern Europe. So this is more of a European tradition, but you would see wish trees where they would tie on like little pieces of cloth, little paper, little wishes. And again, ties to what we were saying with the last thing, that we can use our tree to wish, manifest, call in what we want more of, right? As we go into the next year. So even if you're not tying little papers or ribbon wishes around your tree, definitely take some time this holiday season to whisper your wishes to a branch and just put that energy out there and start that manifesting. So definitely utilize your Christmas tree and the magic around it this year. We've talked about 3 different ways you can kind of look at it and look at your Christmas tree from a different way this year, So definitely some things that we can incorporate that are very easy too, which is something that's very important to me with this podcast, is that magic doesn't need to be like settled for 8 p.m. on the full moon every 2 weeks. Magic is something that is always in your hands, that is always at your disposal. And I think using these little ways to bring it into our life more and to connect to our spiritual side more is so powerful. So we better be whispering to our trees. We better be putting some thought into our ornaments and acknowledging the protection that comes with our Christmas tree this year. Now, for our what to do this week segment or part of this podcast, I like to bring in something that we can simply do to tap into the current energy around us. And with it being the holiday season, I mean, we are in the thick of it, right? Like it really is starting now. The next 2 weeks is going to be all about the holidays. I want you to think of ways that you can add light to holiday traditions. And when I say add light, I mean little things that we can do that come from a place of charity and love and well-being for others. So I'm going to go through a short list here of little things that you can do this week that will add almost no extra work to you. That's kind of the point of this, right? These are connected to things we are already doing. So what's really like the little extra thing we can do to add more light into not only our holiday season, but the people around us and our community? So these are some things you can do this week to add more light into the holiday season. If you're making cookies at any point, just drop some off to your neighbor, right? You don't even have to drive to someone's house. Literally just walk outside, put a little note on it, and drop some off to your neighbor. If you are planning a Christmas meal, invite someone who doesn't have a place to go. I already have heard people talking about this out in the wild and out in public of times where they have been invited places where they didn't have family here, right? We were talking about that earlier today with some people I was with, of certain bars and restaurants are open on Christmas Day because not everyone has a family to go to. So if you know someone who that is the case, they would be alone or they don't have anywhere to go, maybe invite them to the Christmas meal or drop a plate off to them, some point around Christmas when you're creating that meal, whether it be Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, the day after Christmas, and just show a little bit of extra love. Now, if you're shopping, you can easily pick up some extra food, toiletries, toys, and drop them off at a local shelter or food bank. Lots of restaurants, lots of grocery stores or stores actually even have places up at the front of the store where right when you buy extra groceries or canned goods, you can put them right in like a bin or a box at like the front of a grocery store. So lots of shops are making it easy for you to donate or give to those where you're not needing to make an extra stop or go take them somewhere where you know they're going to be utilized. But I do recommend that if you have a place where you know they need toiletries or you know that they may need certain things for certain children of a certain age, do that, right? And provide for those who you know need it. But these are very easy ways that you can give a little, add a little extra light without doing too much. Our next one is really easy to me, and this is something that is actually means a lot to me. I worked in retail for many years before doing this. And it is when you are shopping, thank the employees for all their hard work this holiday season. So whether you're at a department store, a grocery store, heck, a restaurant, thank the staff for all that they're doing. Especially grocery stores, because I just feel like they get the brunt of it during the holiday season. And some people can be really nasty. They're in a rush. They're not feeling the holiday spirit in a nice way. Maybe they're stressed out. And unfortunately, lots of retail workers or customer service workers kind of get the brunt of those people's like not so great Christmas spirit. So when you are out shopping, thank the workers. Like intentionally look them in the eye and say, thank you so much for your hard work. It always meant so much to me when I worked in retail and people would tell me that. So I do make a point to be very specific of you guys are working so hard. I know it's been a really busy season for you and to just acknowledge what they are doing. Now, if you're going to a Christmas show or concert, invite someone who lives alone. Maybe you have an aunt or your grandmother lives alone and you can bring them along too, so they can have a little more companionship, a little more community during the holiday season. And if you are posting a Christmas picture on social media, caption what you are thankful for and what Christmas means to you. Use it as an opportunity to spread positivity and not just say like, Merry Christmas. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but this is a way you can kind of do a little extra and say, I'm so thankful for all of you, for my family, for what this holiday season means to me, and just use it as a chance to spread gratitude and spread positivity if you are posting on social media this time of year. And just again, put a little thought, put a little intention behind what you are doing and how it can affect those around you. The littlest change or the littlest comment or compliment can make a world of difference for someone. So definitely spread the love and spread the positivity as much as you can this holiday season. Now, our last topic is in relation to the full moon last week. So stick with me. But in the full moon last week, we talked about how one of the biggest downloads I was really getting for it was how we are going to spread information, how we're going to get information, media, content as time moves forward. And of course, aligned with the astrology of it all, there was a big move made in what is called the streaming wars last week. So the streaming wars is the idea of streaming platforms like, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, wanting to obviously gain customers, keep their customers with the certain content that they have. So last week, Warner Brothers actually essentially went up for sale, right? And Warner Brothers has a lot of what we call like intellectual property or IP. Harry Potter, they have lots of HBO. So this was a big get for one of the streamers. And we're going to talk about how this all connects. So Netflix plans to buy Warner Brothers Studios. Now, I'm not going to go into all the legality stuff and all the kind of business behind it. Of course, on magic and media, we're going to go into how does it affect us from a magical and metaphysical standpoint. So, Netflix wants to buy this and the IP so they can ultimately control output of lots of movies and shows. And because it's a streaming platform, they want people to watch at home, right? Now, the idea that is being supported with all of this is that in a lot of ways, Netflix buying this Warner Brothers division is going to do away more so with theaters, right? The idea is that Netflix is going to want people to continue streaming at home. And we're already seeing, especially after the pandemic, the pull away of people going to movie theaters. And this asks a bigger question of why are we okay or like open to losing community in another place, which is the movies, right? So that's where this really ties into the media aspect of our podcast. Movies are art that we can see, talk about, watch, relate to. And honestly, it's a big part of our life as humans and existence is our media and how we consume it. So, like I said last week with this Gemini full moon, I wouldn't be surprised if there's changes or talks about how we consume media. And last week is when all this kind of started up of, if Netflix is able to buy Warner Brothers, that would change a lot of how content is being shared and spread, not only how it's being spread, but how it's being consumed. And I don't think, honestly, that we all should be like holing up in our houses and not going out and not being part of the community. I think we actually need more of that. Like in our world, we need to go out more and be part of our community and connect to those around us. It really got me thinking about even in the last year, I went and saw actually it was Honora. That is Honora with Mikey Madison. She won the Oscar for Best Actress last year. I remember seeing that movie in theaters and walking out and talking about it with several of the people who had also seen the movie. And that is really lost in our society, right? But I saw so much power in that one moment, like last year, talking about the movie and seeing what people thought about it. And that brings me to our bigger theme really with how all of this connects to the Gemini full moon last week. And that is that we still have the privilege of thinking and analyzing art, shows, movies, all that kind of stuff. We need this culture and art more than ever, especially in this fast-paced 60-second video world where we're so used to short form videos and reels and fast in your face media. Like I said, more than ever, we need to slow down, embrace community, really absorb the art that's being fed to us so we can form some thoughts, some deeper thinking, some opinion on it, talk about it with other people, and build that community more. So this really does affect how we are going to receive media and information, just like we were talking about last week. So keep your eyes on the whole situation, but this is also something that I wanted to highlight because I don't think we're talking about it enough, basically. I really do think that the idea of this whole situation of the streaming wars is you do not want one monopoly over all of the content, right? Especially because we are a society right now that is so deep into like, I feel sitting at home and streaming. We have to pay attention to this and what it's trying to promote in our society. So this like taking away movies and ultimately it boils down to if we give someone too much control over this kind of stuff, then we will see less diversity. We'll see less women directors. We'll see less women led roles and things like that. And we already are so lacking in diversity in Hollywood. We do not need to do something that is going to make it where it's even harder to get those stories out. So this wouldn't really benefit new creators, actors, young directors. It will actually make it even harder to break through into this industry that is already very difficult to break through. And I think it is really important that we have new intellectual property out there, new directors, new eyes, new lenses. So we are seeing things from different perspectives. We're learning more. And again, we still have that privilege to think about art, to analyze it, to have an opinion on it, and to communicate with others about it. So pay attention. pay attention to what's happening around us, to what's authentic, and to what is real and what we are consuming, I think we will continue to see like a shift in content, how it's being delivered to us, how we're consuming it. So it's very important that we be mindful as to what and how we are consuming content and media content, because there is a bigger call for authenticity. So the last thing I want to touch on as we kind of talk about this, streaming wars and authenticity and content. And that is the Japanese aesthetic of Wabi Sabi. And this is being talked a little bit more in the way of content because we as a society are striving, or we're craving authenticity. And a big thing that I've noticed kind of in the last couple weeks too is that even the influencer culture on things like TikTok and Instagram has become very scripted, very rehearsed, and lots of people are starting to notice that it's not as authentic as it once was, right? So Wabi Sabi, this Japanese aesthetic and worldview that finds beauty in imperfection and permanence and simplicity. So Wabi is appreciating simplicity, humility, and the quiet beauty in the modest or rustic things. And Sabi is the beauty that comes with age, wear, and the passage of time. So together, Wabi Sabi encourages seeing value in things that are imperfect, incomplete, and ephemeral, like a cracked bowl, a fleeting moment, weathered wood on a porch. It's often described as a way of life that embraces authenticity, naturalness, and acceptance. So that is something I think we could all lean into a little bit more and pay attention to when we are looking at our content and what we're consuming, and also just in general with life. We are again so used to this fast-paced, new, get what we want when we want it society. We have to understand that a lot of the time, value comes with age. Value comes with learning, with wearing things down, with using them. And there is a lot of magic in these fleeting moments of imperfection or when things aren't going quite right. It almost has the feeling to me of like when things aren't going quite your way and you just kind of have to stop and laugh, right? That is the authenticity of life. That is the realness of life. And we need to embrace all of it, not just the big exciting times or moments. So look more into Wabi Sabi if that calls to you. But I have been seeing a lot of this idea the last couple weeks. So I wanted to share it with you all so you can kind of start thinking about it too. But I do believe this is ultimately a call for more authentic content and consumption. And we are done with the overproduced and ad-loaded content that is focused on, commerce and selling a product. And that's it, right? Not really a meaning behind it. Very scripted and like rehearsed. We're craving the authenticity. We're craving the realness of people. And I do think that we need to show more of that. So support your favorite small creator or your favorite small business and make sure that we are giving attention and views and downloads to people that are coming from an authentic place. Someone maybe who's teaching you something new that you didn't know about, who's not just trying to sell a product, but give you information, give you valuable lessons, valuable knowledge of things that we need. And really, really, you guys, I cannot stress enough after this Gemini full moon last week to pay attention to the content we are consuming. I'm not saying that we can't watch funny shows every now and then. Not everything needs to be like the highest echelon of content. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying pay attention to the content you're consuming and what lights you up, what maybe makes you feel anxious, right? Let's bring some awareness to where we're at with content. I think that was really highlighted last week, and that is probably my biggest message from last week and the Gemini full moon. So that is what we have for this week's episode of Magic in Media. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that this inspired you to bring some more light and magic into your month. And I am very excited to keep talking about the holiday season and the magic behind it as we go through this month. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Have a great week and be sure to find the magic in your own life.